activity. So all of us on stage here, we're going to pick one word which we connect with International Women's Day. So mine is resilience, it's not rehearsed at all.
Mine is empowerment.
Mine is voice. Mine is strength.
And start with Helen.
Togetherness.
Power.
Sport.
Strength.
Representation.
Passion.
That was beautiful. So our first question is, what was school like? Was it enjoyable, unenjoyable, and how has it shaped you? And it's an all-girls school here, so we do like a gossip. So, beginning with Alex.
Yeah, I loved school, to be honest. I was saying I spent 2 years in the old school here and 2 years in Merrimack and 2 years in the new school then here. But yeah, I loved school, besides the work and homework and stuff. But I know that has to be done too. But yeah, school really was my happy place. Besides going down to Royal obviously, I loved coming here, and loved everyone in my year, and just have such happy memories from school.
Lovely. So next is Deirdre, who's on the first student council.
And I realised the other day it's 40 years since I left school, and it feels like 15 years ago. And I absolutely loved my time in St Angela's, and even when I saw the sign this morning, and when we went in for coffee, the junior school, it's actually when I started in 1971. So I really feel old today. I absolutely loved it, but I wasn't an academic. I'm sorry, teachers. But I do feel that it was like a second home. And the friendships you make in St Angela's, the sport, everything like debating, table tennis, basketball, hockey, and that's what got me through school. And my friends, and I still have friends from my school days. And so on cool, I have a WhatsApp group called SAC.
So next week, Evelyn, who was not happy for the start class.
Yeah, so I went to St Vincent's in Cork City. My dad was a teacher in the North One. So secondary school was interesting for me. I came from the country out in Enniscarra into a city school, and lots of the girls were from the north side, and I actually found it quite hard to kind of integrate. Felt kind of different, and it took me a while to find my tribe. But in saying all that, I absolutely loved it. I think they're real important years in your lives, lads, as you're going through it now. And really enjoying the years, and I suppose to get the most out of it would be kind of one of my learnings. But once I found my tribe, I really settled in and enjoyed it.
And lastly is Alice, who spent 6 years on council.
I loved school. Like Evelyn, I came from the country. We were the country girls coming into the city, which meant we got to leave early to get the country bus home. But I loved it, and I had great memories in St Angela's. I loved that it was an all-girls school. I think that really worked for me. And there was a mixed school locally, and I'm so glad I came into the girls.
So my question is, when you're around our age, so around 17 or 18, where did you imagine that life would take you? And has this changed? And if so, how? I'd like to start with you, Amy. That's it.
Sure, yeah, thank you. So when I was like 17, 18, I actually wanted to be a professional dancer. That was like the path that I was going down, and I was like really involved in dance growing up, and it was a very competitive kind of environment, and all of my friends were going to do it, and we were all going to go and be dancers on Broadway. That was a dream, and then some friends of mine went and did it, a bit older than me, and as funny as I kind of started to research my dream, and I realised that actually it was going to work for me, and it didn't really seem like the type of thing I wanted to do, was more the idea of it. So I didn't become a professional dancer, but what I did do is I chose to go to university instead. So really the decision I was making was, do I go to a dance college in London, or do I go to university here? And ultimately I went to university at UCC, and I studied commerce. But I think what was really nice about that is what for me seemed like was going to be my my career in dance. I was able to really sort of almost rewire that and turn it into a real hobby. And so, like one of the girls mentioned there, I ended up becoming a member of UCC Dance Club. where I then captained the club for a couple of years while I was there. So that gave me such a new lease of life for my love of dance, and I think had I done it as a career, I would probably be retired by now. So yeah, I think when I was 17, that was my plan. It's funny how things work out when you look back on them.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you. And I'd like to ask Susan as well, if that's her.
I'm past people here as well, and I do like talking about Steve and stuff. I came here with my twin sister, which is totally different, but the same as what Alice was saying there, we just love coming to school and being together, and even all that school was brilliant for us as well. But one of my abiding memories is being outside 3A, and you were completing figuring out what you wanted to do, and filling out your CEO form and all of that. And I remember asking Mr. Sheehy, I said, what's medical science? And he just turned around, stopped what he was doing, and he said, there's loads of money in that.
Come on, Joe.
I don't know if Mr. Sheehy is still in the faculties, but I haven't received any major money paycheck. This year I like to more than I had.
Very good. I hope you are getting it. I'd also like to ask Neil, if that's right.
Yeah, so down on school briefly, I had a bit of a mixed childhood, I suppose, in that my parents dragged me to England and then to France before I even hit leaving cert. So frankly, my plans at 16 or 17 were just to wait and see what happened for the next year, I suppose. But looking back, I didn't do a transition year. I went straight into UCC, and I was doing biochem over there, not doing particularly well, unfortunately. So I suppose I really didn't have a plan. I was very open to opportunities, and luckily for me, the opportunity to get involved in sport appeared. So I suppose, yeah, I didn't have a plan, so I can't compare to what I intended, but I ended up getting involved in sport, which was obviously completely changed the trajectory of my life, and it's still impacting it, I suppose.
Very good, thank you. We'll go to Janet now, I think.
Okay, so this is a general question. I would like to ask you all, how did you come to the decision on what to study in college? Was it like depending on your leaving cert results, or were you always sure? And I'd like to start off with Helen, and anyone else could jump in afterwards.
I used to like arguing. I was in school, not fighting with people as such, but I did always like looking at one side and the other side.
Like a debate.
Yeah, and we didn't have debating as such in my school. I went to school in Mitchelstown, but we did public speaking when we were in 5th year and 6th year, and I quite enjoyed that, and I always liked looking at politics on the TV, and there was a lady called Kate Eady, and she was a reporter from war-torn areas, so she used to wear like a helmet and a flak jacket, and I thought she was very, very cool. Now I didn't do anything to become a journalist, but I just thought it seemed like a reasonably good thing to write down on my CAO form, so I didn't have any great plan to be a lawyer. It just seemed, I knew what I didn't want to do. I knew that I didn't really want to do science. I had thought about medicine, thought that it would be a long career journey in college. In fact, I spent much longer studying law than I would have become a doctor, but I suppose I ultimately kind of said, well, this is where maybe my aptitudes lie. It wasn't as posh as that. I don't think I knew what an aptitude was, but it was where my interests lay. So I didn't have a very grand plan. I just thought it seemed like it would be an interesting thing to study in college. So that's why I put it down.
That's really good. Does anyone want to jump in?
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
Don't get obsessed with what you think you should be doing when you leave school. The most important thing is that you stay calm, and when you're heading into leaving cert, there are loads of options that you can do. That obviously you have a big course, whether it's in UCC or MTU or UL or UCD, apprenticeship, STEM, multiple career choices for all of you, which is fantastic. But don't go into a tunnel of one career choice only. There's a lot of options on how to get there. There's a scenic tour of where to get to as well, and don't forget that. I think it's most important, because I see people, they're obsessed if I don't get 520 points or I don't get 450. You know, calm it and just concentrate, do your best, and everything will fall into place after that. And I think that's the most important advice I'll give you today.
I think that's actually a really good advice for everyone here, so it's really good. Thank you.
I might build on that. So I thought I wanted to be a dentist when I was coming out, or when I was in school, and I was mad about my science teacher, Miss Ferreter, and I loved her up until junior cert, and then I actually did all science for my leaving. I just because I was mad about her and she had a real influence on me. And but I actually realised at the time that I actually blocked off loads of different areas in doing that. But anyway, we keep going. And I got to leaving cert, and I thought I wanted to be a dentist. I had a camogie trainer in Enniscarrow who was a dentist who seemed to have loads of time for us and seemed to be really happy in his life. So I thought, God, I'd do that. That looks good. And he'd a lovely car as well, so the money was good. And then when I applied, and I really studied really hard, I was a really good student, but I didn't get the points. And it's that disappointment in life, lads, that is going to come your way. But actually, it's not being knocked by it, like what you're saying. And my second choice was food science. So I went to UCC, and I have a food science degree. But actually, while I was doing that, and I enjoyed the study, I did work experience in Dairygold, wearing white wellies and a white lab coat, testing the moisture of grain and not talking all day. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't for me. But it was as much to learn, actually, that that's not what I want to do. That's so important as well. And then meanwhile, I was working Blarney Mulligan selling water crystal to Americans. And I just loved it. I was there in my kilt and my red hair, selling my soul, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is me, actually. How do I move from food science into this space? And it's kind of really come full circle. And when I did do my food science degree, and my parents were probably encouraging me to stick with it, I did a HDip in marketing management for 1 year, and then joined the Guinness Ireland graduate programme. There was 3,000 people applied, and I was the only one to get it. And it's just that path, lads, where life is not going to go your way. You're going to have disappointment, and just roll with it, believe in it. There are loads of different routes. Just keep going, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, so many inspirational people here. So I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to ask you guys about the student council. How do you think it has expanded and changed?
Student council. Proud of it. We were in I suppose we were voted, I don't know if we were voted by the girls in the class to represent the class. And I happened to be voted every year. And then into the senior cycle, then was more student council work. If anyone had a problem, and they come to you and you do your best to solve it. I don't know what that's saying, probably.
Actually, might build on that. I was on student council when I was in St. Angela's as well. Actually, Evan's daughter said to me earlier, "Oh, you were the head girl." I said, "Well, definitely was not saying." Wasn't quite head girl now, but Liz is definitely her mother's daughter. I'd say after that lovely speech. But yeah, the student council, I think it's funny because when you look back on even like how you're going to be able to come today and speak in front of a big group. I mean, it's quite intimidating, a lot of you here. But it's funny because if I were to look back on sort of how I became comfortable in this type of environment, I mean, standing at that podium as like deputy head girl when I was in 6th year, and even before that, I remember I was actually quite a shy child, and then kind of coming into my early years here, quite shy as well. And I remember thinking, they'd ask who's going to say a prayer at mass, and I was like, oh, I'm going to say a prayer at mass, but I probably should do it because I'm scared of it. Putting your hand up and just doing it for that reason, and then over time, slowly but surely, you find that while you're really stressed out before you do it, actually, you get a lot from kind of the experience, and you learn a lot from it. And also, I think student council now, I mean, this is like professional level type stuff. If I put stuff on Apple, they would I'd be CEO in the morning with this thing. It's really, really impressive. So I think girls should be so proud of what they've done and what we're all here to celebrate today. So well done, girls. Really, really impressive.
So the next question is more zoning in on specific people. So Mads and Neil, you're Olympian and Paralympian, and obviously so much time and effort went into play at such a high level and don the Irish crest. So obviously growing up, you put so much time in, a lot of discipline, hard work, and to maintain it at such a high level. So what qualities do you think you need to possess to reach and maintain such a high level in sport?
I suppose I started rowing when I was in school here, and I guess balancing skill and rowing, and it was quite difficult, I suppose. You know, I guess like when you're in your class, like you feel under pressure and like grades and stuff like that, I suppose. But I loved rowing, and rowing was my passion, you know. But I think just being really disciplined, you know, like I was in after school study every day, you know, and then it meant that I could spend all evening or all night in the rowing club then, you know. But I think, you know, I felt like I shouldn't be spending so much time doing my sport because, you know, I need to get my points or whatever, but, you know, rowing has like changed my life, like, and I'm so glad that I was able to do both, and that, like, I did have a supportive circle around me, and, you know, the school was always so encouraging about, like, rowing, which definitely helped, so,
Yeah, comparatively, when I was in school, I had nothing to do with sport. I didn't get involved until I was 19, but I suppose this is where I blame my failure in college was because sport kind of came in. I suppose it was a choice I made, but it's given me some life skills that I suppose are invaluable, but I might not have gotten if I had continued in UCC. I suppose like just the organisation of it all, because I'm queen procrastinator. I mean, I'm so good at putting off what I need to do, but I suppose when you set yourself a goal, you know, even if it's just like, I don't know, going to the gym 2 times a week, sometimes it can be so daunting, and I suppose I was trying to be true to myself and honour my own goals that I'd set myself and understand, like, okay, like, if this is what I want to achieve, this is what I have to do. It's non-negotiable. So really kind of learning to just, it wasn't a sacrifice, you know, this is something I signed up for, this is something I want to do, but it made me, be really good at committing to goals and stuff, and just organisation. I'm really good with a to-do list. You know, love taking things off, and it's just been slightly logical, I suppose, because you have a plan, you train plan, you know what you need to do, and you just need to work out, okay, how can I do it? You know, maybe I have personal problems that are going to get in the way of that, but just being aware of what might impact you, and then preparing for that eventuality, just really kind of helped me to succeed, I suppose.
Thank you. Like also, that's like you have kind of age demographic here, like 12 to 19, where like you could have people training and they're missing out on events like maybe your first disco, NAT, a 6-year holiday. Like, what would you say, like, you know, to keep going? Because you know there is a fear of missing out, or if you're so like training so much. Like, what would you, any advice?
Yeah, definitely. I think what Eve was saying, like, you know, it was like it's not a sacrifice. You know, it is your passion and it's what you like are choosing to do, and you love it essentially. Like, so, like, I didn't go on a 6-year holiday, but I don't regret it either. You know, because I got to like travel the world with rowing, and you know, make so many friends and make so many memories, and you know, it brought me to different places, I suppose, and like, I wouldn't change it. But yeah, so I wouldn't really look at it as a sacrifice, but yeah.
Thank you.
So to broaden out on a similar question, to excel at the careers that you have each succeeded in, I feel that certain qualities are needed for each. So what do you believe are the most valuable qualities in your chosen profession? I might start with Kat in such a creative role.
Creativity does help. For me, what's been quite helpful as well, oddly, was a sense of humour. I got hired because I came out of college, I studied illustration in England, and in my final year was like really panicking, because I didn't know what I did, I didn't know what my style was, and I went to see the head of my course to get an extension, and I kind of said to him, it's fine, there's no big deal. But also, basically, I'm having a breakdown. And he was like, sounds like it is a bit of a big deal. But I said to him, I don't know what my thing is. And he looked at me and he said, you're good with words. Like, use that. And from that, I made these 3 cards for the overly anxious and underprepared graduate. One said, what the hell happens now? Another one said, I promise to never ask about your plans for the future. And the last one said, do you really think you'd have your life figured out by now? And it was my first time doing lettering, playing around with that, and we had a degree show in London, and from that, the then head of creative and Green Pixel asked me for a placement, and basically they just never got rid of me. I used to always say, I'm not funny, I'm just Irish, and we were all English. Which I still sort of stand by. But it also helps. Like, it also helped in my career as an agent, because you have clients kind of screaming down your neck, like, giving out about stuff, you have artists being really stressed, and if you kind of find, not like laugh at them, because you have to take it seriously, But, you know, find humour in the situation and manage to keep things lighthearted. It just makes it easier for everyone to like move along together and get to the end goal. And I think with that comes like collaboration, which I always found really important. Like I was always very interested in what other people were doing, what other people were up to. In Moonpig, I used to host these company showcases, which I ended up hosting through a series of unfortunate events. And I made them ridiculous. I made these basically comedy skits, but people got really into it because it became fun. And it became like, it wasn't just you had to present to the company, the whole company. This is like 400 people across multiple countries. But it became this sort of like a bit of a highlight. Like if you ran over time, I used to play sound effects. I used to play a pingu newt sound if you ran over time. It became known as getting newted, which I was quite proud of. But like that, just like bringing a sense of like what you're doing is serious. I always took my job seriously. Like I cared about making cards. I cared about making money for artists. But trying to, the times when I've struggled the most have been the times that I've forgotten to like keep that joy in what you're doing and kind of keep that sense of play and kind of, because with that comes collaboration, it comes creativity, and it comes kind of interesting ideas. So I know that it's hard, especially in your exams, and you get very ground down. But the more you can try and find the reason that you liked the thing you were doing to begin with, or find the reason to find it slightly ridiculous, I think can just really help.
Yeah, thank you. That's very interesting. Thank you. And I might just ask you to Jeff, if that's okay.
I agree with everything that you said there. The sense of humour is very important, and also being respectful to your work colleagues and working as a team, and also being adaptable. Like no matter what career choice, if you hear believe you want to do now, go for it. If you know, you might take the scenic route, but don't say this is it. You know, you have the adaptation. If you want to change, but also courage to do it. Because sometimes your parents might say, you should do this now, you get a car, you get a house, you stay in Cork. Like, go with your own gut, you know what your actual strengths are. So whatever career choice you take, you go to, you want to almost love it because you spend a lot of your time working and you want to love your work, and when you love your work you'll be very good at it, whereas if you settle for a job that you don't really want, you won't be that in love with it and you could get a bit, you know, jittery. But being adapting to change I think is very important. And also when I went from school to the Cork University Hospital, it was the regional event. I had no idea I'd end up where I'm now working in politics. I went to nursing because I wanted to be a nurse. I loved it. I worked there for 10 years. Then I was asked to work with the INO as an industrial relations officer, because I spent a lot of my time like the student council and a lot of helping other people and helping people with problem solving and that made me take another path which I never thought I'd go on. So when you get into a groove, and don't be afraid to change. It's my advice.
Perfect. Thanks a million. That's very good, valuable advice, like, especially for our sixth graders who are just, you know, going to think about what they want to do from now on. And I hand over to Janet there now. Thank you.
Okay, so Helen, this one's for you. So we were talking earlier, and I was just thinking it must be so difficult and complex, and like so time consuming to be a mother and a judge at the same time. I was like, I can't wrap it around my head. And so I was wondering, is there a time you struggled in your career as a judge, and like, how did you overcome it?
Okay, so I'm only a judge for about 5 years. So in Ireland, so in Europe, you can become a judge as soon as you leave law school. So they have a different system. So you could be a judge age 24 in Ireland, and in the UK it's the common law system. So you have to be a solicitor or a barrister for a long time. So in fact, I suppose the difficult years for me with my darling girls who I adore, and were probably more when I was a barrister because I had 3 small children and I was self-employed. So now I have the government job that means that I don't have to send out invoices, I don't have to go home and do paperwork, I don't have to run my own business. So the great advantage of running your own business is that you're your own boss. The downside is your own boss if you're not very organised. I'm not sure I would have employed me, to be honest, if I was my own boss. But so for me, when my children were very small, as amazing and wonderful as they were, they needed a lot of time, and you're also trying to run your business, so that was probably the most stressful for me. I was very interested to hear a judge who retired from the Supreme Court, Judge Finlay Dagan, who was a really successful and pioneering. She was a solicitor and a barrister and a Supreme Court judge, and her advice to the younger women was, you know, this time will pass. Have your small children, it's great, but you just have to keep going. And actually, that's probably the truth. Now my daughters are wonderful. They do their own cooking, cleaning, wash up. They are so good at home at helping their mother. You can ask them later on if that's true or not. But I think the thing for the tough times is you just have to keep going, isn't it? You just got to get out of bed in the morning and you just have to try. And then don't be afraid to ask for help as well. That's another thing that's probably worth if you're going through a difficult time. The great thing about being a barrister was it was very collegiate, a bit like your student council and a bit like your school. So if you're struggling at work or if you're going through a difficult time, tell somebody and say, I really might need a bit of help here, and you'll always find it. Particularly because that will come back around. There will be times when other people will need help. And that Irish phrase or scoil Dina, we all live in the shadow of each other. So in the tough times, talk to people.
Appreciate that's great advice, thank you.
So being a judge is a breeze, by the way.
I'd love to ask everything as well, that's okay?
So I would share the moment in my career having small kids, you know, being a challenge, but it's interesting. I talk to a lot of ex-male colleagues about this question comes up for women and not as much for men, and it's hard for the dads as well, you know, kind of venturing through it, but having that right childcare support is critical. Like for me, I had my mom and an amazing lady called Teresa, and to be able to close the front door and not actually have to worry, and knowing that they were loved, you know, and cared for, like, was huge. A recent challenge I had was when I joined Kilkenny Design in 2019. Within 6 months, COVID hit and all our shops shut, and our 250 colleagues. We obviously had our warehouse and our online, which took off and was booming. But to have all the colleagues out of work, their purpose gone, and actually manoeuvring through that, I found really kind of challenging for the team. In Kilkenny Design, we're 85% women, and a lot of our colleagues were out of work overnight, and I actually moved into CEO around that time as well. So, and it's my first time doing this role, so I found I really had to dig deep, if you like, and for me was that learning of listening to people, checking in with people. In Kilkenny, it was all about our colleagues and were they okay, was their mental health okay, were they getting out, and we did regular check-ins because there was some pockets of the team then taking off with the online and we couldn't keep up with the orders. So it was actually really focused on getting people back to work that way as well. But I found that challenging, but out of every challenge lies huge learning. And it probably has made me, if you like, in ways in my role, to have gone through that difficult time now and to have come out the other end. And then all the learning and innovation that came during that period as well, we're putting it into action now. So.
Thank you so much. It's like telling everyone that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you. So Alice, you're a successful entrepreneur, and I bet a lot of girls here are aspiring to be like you. So what is it like running your own business, and like what was the process of setting it up and stuff?
It happened not by accident, but a bit like Evan was saying about disappointments. I did actually a lovely leaving cert from St. Angela's and went to college. I wanted to do an arts degree. I filled my subjects with more languages and things. I think initially maybe I was going down maybe flight attendant, was a bit glam at the time, and I said having French and German. So I didn't, when I finished school, I wasn't sure, and I thought an arts degree was going to sort me out and at least I could go different directions. But that's only because I really wanted to check out what the university was like and wasn't too sure about it, but I knew once I got there it would be fine. And disappointingly then, unlike my leaving cert, it wasn't fine. I didn't like it at all, it just wasn't for me. and I didn't realise that I was a creative person until when I was looking back, little things, like for example projects I ended up like making do. I never did art, but there definitely was a creativity there. When I was doing my arts, I was doing the hair for the balls, you know, the college balls, and people, my friends were like, will you do my hair? And I was just nappy at it, but I never thought of it as a job. And struggled through. I did a couple of years, and I just knew it wasn't for me. There was no structure in the arts degree. It was very much, you had a lecture at 9 and then another lecture at 5 in the evening, and then the whole day was to do your study, but I just couldn't focus on it, so I ended up getting a job, earning money, and then it kind of came into my head about doing an apprenticeship, which I hadn't really realised was an option for me. But the idea of going somewhere, learning your skill, and being paid just was mind-blowing for me. Like, I couldn't believe that I could be earning money on the job of training, and then when I got home, my day was done, whereas my friends were going to work in the bar to earn their money. And I was buying a house at 23. I couldn't believe it. It was fantastic. So for me, that had the structure in it for me, because it was more of a 9 to 5 and Monday, well, he works Saturdays as a hairdresser, wouldn't recommend. But so then when I started my training, it was a 4-year, and because I had gone to college, I was coming into it late, so I was 21 starting an apprenticeship, whereas the other girls were 16, and I felt under pressure from myself to get through it. And it's a 4-year apprenticeship, and I had it done in 3 years. I was like, I just want this, I want my qualification. And then I just worked and worked and worked, but I was hairdressing during the really good times, like during the Celtic Tiger. Women weren't even washing their own hair. They were getting blow dries 4 times a week and just piling money into the industry. So it was a really nice time to be in it. It was buzzy. I loved it. And then when it came to opening up by myself, because I had the languages, I had no accounting or bookkeeping, and now I just have to work for myself. And so I outsourced all that, and now I do the hair.
Thank you so much.
So my next question is for Deirdre, and this is quite loaded. So as you came like as a nurse, you were a nurse, then you're a nurses union, and then you're chief of staff in the teacher's office. So that's quite like a dramatic career change, and our generation is more likely to do more career changes. So kind of wondering like what motivated you to like change career, because you're ahead of your time.
Again, it wasn't planned. I suppose I adapted. I like a challenge. I love politics. I like helping people. That started with the Students' Council. It started with E-Class in St. Angela's. Because also too, very conscious of the fact that I used to, I'd say, drive my teachers a little bit mad. I'd say I was challenging, to say the least. To give a shout out to the teachers here on the basis that they're here to help everyone to get to the right path, and I think that's an important thing that you don't acknowledge when you're at school, that you look back and you say, oh, that teacher was right, you know, when she pointed out just certain things. It's a great honour to be chief of staff at the Taoiseach. A sense of humour is most important, hard work and teamwork, and that's the same in any job that anybody does. Whether you're self-employed, it's even more challenging to be. I wouldn't have the courage to do that, to be self-employed, and we all have different skill sets. But I also, for my age, I would be unusual because a lot of my friends went into one career and didn't change, and I suppose I just took a bit, and it just worked out.
Thank you. And also like you're more in kind of the background, more management, and like you wouldn't receive as much like public adulations. So what would like gratify you, like what's rewarding with your work?
Trying to make a difference actually, and even by making a phone call on behalf of somebody, or even trying to get somebody to access a minister for a particular project. Like I was very touched by the charity earlier on, about what hard work they do to help people who've lost one of their babies, which is horrific. The human side that we all go through, like health as well, all of the people that work in the health service, the the public service do great stuff, and they're not thanked enough. But helping people, like it could be anything at all, something small, something big, and even working with the Taoiseach, you can do very minuscule things that make a difference, and then there are bigger things that take longer, but you just keep at it. And somebody said earlier on, you just adapt, you just keep ploughing, you keep working, you focus. I'm an awful woman for lists, and I post this, and I pink, red, yellow, and I, prioritise various lists, and it's great ticking them off. At least you get to help somebody. It's as simple as that.
Thank you so much. So my next question is for Amy again. So I know that one of the programs you're involved in Apple is Women at Apple, where you help set up TY Women STEM events. So the first question I want to ask you is just how did you end up working in kind of IT from a commerce degree? And secondly, do you find that women are underrepresented in IT?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. And it's actually funny that you mentioned food science because when I was in school here, I did biology and chemistry, and then I also did business. So I was really keeping my options open because I didn't really know kind of like where I wanted to go. And I ended up getting food science in UCC. And it's so funny because I remember starting in my class would be cool and learn all about like nutrition, and I was kind of getting into my previous career in dance. But yeah, I got into food science, and like one of the assignments was something about like milk protein, and I remember being like, and no offense to all my science teachers that were great, but I still don't care what's in milk protein. I just really didn't care. And then that really inspired me to make a change, and I actually did a lot of research when I was in UCC in my first year. And 3 months into food science, I switched to commerce. So I think that's another sort of key we've been talking about, which is about sort of not being afraid to adapt and make those changes, even when you're in college. Those avenues are still open. They have like great coordinators who work with to do that. So, anyways, I ended up doing commerce, like I said, which I really loved. And commerce is a kind of a very broad business degree. So you do accounting, management. There's some information systems involved in it. But it gives you a really good understanding of sort of the business world. And so coming out of that, I knew I was kind of in business, but I was still very much in a general enough sort of degree. And I accepted a role to work in Ernst & Young in finance, having done my placement at the company. But I hated my placement, so I was like, why did I accept that role? But when you're in college, you kind of just, when things come to you, you accept them, and everyone's accepting them, so you're going in the same room with all of your colleagues, or your contemporaries even. But I realised then that I was going to be miserable in that job, and I was like, I hated that for 6 months, and I did it. Like, why am I going into it? But again, when you're at that age, you really do follow the crowd. I think when you're this age, it's really hard to not follow the crowd. And so I remember one day being like, you know what, this isn't going to work, and I had done some part-time work at Apple as a college student, where I worked as like an Apple care advisor. So if your phone was broken, you would like call up Apple Care and I would answer the phone. They can help you. And my experience of that was really positive in terms of my kind of interest with the company. And so I thought to myself, I have to do a grad role at Apple. So I went looking, and there was a finance grad role, I was like, I want to do accounting. And then I found the grad role that I ended up on, which was a project management graduate program. And similar to Helen, I was the only graduate that they hired that year in the services business at Apple, which is kind of a startup function within the general kind of hardware business that you all probably know about Apple. And so how I ended up within the kind of technical element of that was like totally lost the interview, to be honest. And I kind of acted like I had more technical background than I had. I don't know where I got that confidence from, but when I started on the job then, I was actually I learned that it's not rocket science actually, and you pick it up. And a lot of professional jobs are really on the job training rather than having any kind of serious background in the field. And then when I started working at Apple, having come to school here and always been surrounded by amazing female teachers, for the most part, there's some males as well, but I think you are outnumbered boys, unfortunately. Having kind of come from this environment and then gone into commerce, which was like pretty equal in terms of gender, I ended up at Apple on a team where I was the only person. I think it was 25 years between me and my next kind of contemporary within the business I was working in. and it was just me on the graduate programme, and a lot of my colleagues were male, which was honestly a kind of a struggle for me to sort of adapt to, you know, kind of how men talk about things. I remember actually writing in my development notes early on, learn about Premier League football. That's what they're talking about. And so I went to my dad and I said, Dad, tell me what's going on with this. And that sounds so silly, but honestly, if I didn't learn about the Premier League football and what, you know, who was beating Arsenal and who was doing this, I was out of the conversation. And that's really when I realised that we're in a really happy female bubble here in St. Angela's, and even within my degree as well, I didn't really notice the inequality. And so yeah, I did feel a big kind of shift when I got to Apple. And that led me to get involved in Women at Apple, which is a really great sort of DNA community at Apple where, you know, like I said, we try to put on events as amazing as this, and usually not as good, but they're definitely up there. A lot of the work that we do is based around sort of empowering women and sort of, you know, educating the workforce, a lot of them being male, on sort of how men can be allies and how we can all work together, and how we all really do have a voice at the table, and it's so important to have that sort of, that kind of diversity. And then within my work with TY, one of the women actually who is one of the leaders at Women at Apple is also a past people of St. Angela's, and I'll be like female for next year, because she's really great. But she had worked on a kind of a transition year experience to get girls and boys as well into Apple and look at careers for them. And so I worked with her to kind of redesign the program to bring it into, you know, more of a like Gen Z focus. Well, I am Gen Z, even though my sister, who's 17, often calls me millennial, but I am Gen Z just a bit. Yeah, so I worked with her on that, and we developed a program where, like I said, over what the girl said, last year we saw 2,000 transition year students up at Holly Hill, which was amazing. And then from that, I decided to focus more on sort of educating girls on careers in STEM, and so we set up the technology and girls events, which I believe 5 of our second years here were at this year. And so that was a pilot event that I think the girls went to, and we're working to improve that. And again, the main mission there is to educate young girls on the roles that are available in STEM, and breaking down the barriers to entry as well, which is the most important part.
Okay, thanks so much. I think IT is becoming a bit more popular now. I think like there's a new subject actually coming in, that's like technology. I never heard that from you know. But yeah, I think I heard that. It's great. So this is more.
Okay, so Kat. So I understand your career is very creative, like Alex had said earlier on. So I was just wondering, are you able to use your own creative freedom when you were doing your works, or were you limited to like the managerial needs of like Hampton Frank and Moonpig?
So they were 2 very different roles. So when I was at Moonpig, I was a character designer, like happy birthday, Merry Christmas, yada yada yada, for 6 years. There's only so many ways you can say Merry Christmas, I swear to God. So that was quite creative. Like we get given a brief of like we need to do, you know, 13 Mother's Day cards, 2 kind of on this theme, 3 on this kind of style. So we get given guidelines and sort of like briefs, of kind of this is roughly what it would need if you're an art student. It's kind of like being given a theme and maybe a medium or a style. But then within that, we were allowed to kind of just go for it. And if we came up with new ranges, they were always encouraging that. My manager, I've been really lucky. I've had really, really great managers who've been really supportive of my development. And my manager was always very keen to like push me to do more. He got me to do stuff with licensing. So I did bespoke cards for like Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, some for Barbie and Action Man. The Action Man ones were weird. So that was good. So that was pretty creative, and they encouraged me to do more copywriting, which is just another word for writing. And I created a whole bank of copywriting for people. I commissioned copywriting from like freelance people who write jokes, and I had to learn how to make spreadsheets, which I'm still not very good at. But it was a pretty creative role. Hanson Frank then, as they're an agency based in between London and Cambridge, and they represent, I think it's like probably like 50 or so artists now worldwide, and these are full-time professional illustrators, And some of them are within the illustration world. I was very excited to get the job. These are like big deals.
Girls.
But that job was project management / agent role, which is very different to what I was doing. So I went from making my own cards and making my own jokes and kind of that being, I did other stuff within the company, but that was the main focus, to suddenly being in charge of 10 artists and their jobs. So that meant looking after client contact, billing, invoicing, portfolios, sales, client outreach, like project management. And I did discover during it, so like I said, as a project management / agent role, I was pretty good at the agent side in terms of like dealing with clients to an extent, dealing with the artists. I was very good at that. I was good at like reaching out to businesses, doing those meetings, presenting portfolios, choosing the right artist for the right job. The project management bit, not so much my strength. I am not an organised person. I have never been an organised person. I am a very creative person. That's my excuse. So that was tough. That was really, really hard. Because, like I said, I was only managing 10 artists and their jobs, where I was struggling to just manage me before. So it was, that one was, you had to be creative in a different way. I still did writing. I wrote things up for blogs, for socials. Writing emails is an art, I will tell you that now. Especially when you get some clients and it's really an art. You have artists from different countries and I have to explain to a French artist what Gen Z means. I still don't know how I did that. But yeah, so that one was a bit more like catering to kind of more managerial or more clients and artists. But that's still creative in a way, and I was still in a very creative industry. Like I was getting so much joy from seeing like the sketches, the briefs, like how those artists worked. I got other people who did, massive like sculptures and collages and digital stuff and animation, and like to me it was like seeing behind the curtain of all these full-time professional illustrators, which was incredible. So I got that side, but I definitely did less of my own creative work, which I think kind of impacted me. And it's taken me a while to get back into, since I've been back in Cork, because I lived in London. I've been doing art classes, I've done painting, which I never did before. I've like been taking my sketchbook out and like say briefly drawing people in cafes, which I highly recommend to all the art students. Honest to God, you only get better from carrying stuff around, and no one's paying any attention because everyone's on their phones. So you do get good at holding drawing hands like this and like that and like this. But yeah, so like that's been a very nice thing to kind of be building back up since I've been back home. And I'm currently like pursuing, hopefully I'll see if I get a master's in art teaching. So you see me some other point. But that's like, I think I did miss the creative side when I was in the project management side, because I didn't get as much kind of fulfillment, and also I just wasn't as good at it, which is good to know.
Yeah, thank you for that, and for the advice for all those art students to be a bit stopper and take pictures, but So my question's for Evelyn, and obviously as a CEO, you have to be quite confident. So do you have any advice on how to be confident in your career or like any career?
Thank you for that one. I think confidence is very important for all of us, actually, no matter what we do. I'm totally fangirling the sportswomen here next to me on my left. But like, as girls and as women, it actually is a massive challenge at times, because I think we can be very negative on ourselves, and from a very young age have that kind of negative narrative of putting ourselves down. And actually we're brilliant to talk up our friends and our family and everyone else in our lives, but actually I've learned through coaching and through experience just to have that more positive narrative about myself and to back myself. And I've learned over the years as well, like that gut feel, when you kind of can think rationally about things and put down option A or option B when you're thinking about your future career or what part-time job I'd like, go trust your gut. And I've learned that a lot, that is a really strong brain that you have, and if it feels right, and I might feel a little bit nervous, just kind of lean into it. I think that's very important. And just picking up something that Amy said as well, I was on a diversity panel last night, there was a big discussion about when girls, and I see it all the time in Kilkenny, when women see a role, and they look at the profile of the role, they will look at it and say, well actually, I could do 80% of that, but there's 20% actually that I don't know, so it's probably not my time. When a man looks at the role and he sees 20% of his ability, I'm going to go for it. And I'm saying this now, girls, because I wish I knew this more when I was growing up. Because you have to back yourself, you have to lean in, and actually you're going to learn on the job. So don't look at it and see the barriers, and just be more kind to yourself. That's something I had to learn. And it is that inner voice to say, you know what, you did a good job there. Yeah, you've stuff to learn, but keep going, as opposed to, oh my God, this one thing went wrong. And I just think as girls and as women, we can be perfectionists. We want to be doing it right and getting it all right. Life doesn't work like that. And my general thing is, be more confident, but be more kind to yourself. And if I knew that 30 years ago, I think I'd have had a happier journey along the way. So that's kind of my big lesson in confidence.
Thank you so much.
So as we wrap this up, thank you so much for your library, and we'd like you to say one sentence of short and sweet advice for navigating your life and work for us. So we'll wait for Helen.
Picking up on what everyone said, go with your gut and back yourself. You're brilliant and much better than you think you are, so drive on.
I have a thing on my computer, and be true to yourself. And I think, and it's I BTTY, and I think 100% on confidence and a bit of a sense of humour as well. And the also thing I have on my computer is this too shall pass. So even when you're going through a questioning time, a challenging time, whether it's about your choice of career, with your family, with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or whatever, talk to somebody, and also it will pass, and learn from the experience, and then it makes you stronger. Every challenge that you both face will make you stronger, and we all do fine. It's been unbelievable, and listening to the Executive Council with you, and all of the inspiration.
I think what I've learned massively today is that everyone has imposter syndrome, and how nervous everyone was today. Like, the girls have done such an amazing job. But fake it till you make it, that's what I was told, and you put a smile on your face, and like that, you might know everything, but fake it till you make it. I think, because I'm involved with the White Spring project, I would consider myself to be very proud to be involved with it. I'm very impressed by all the girls that I've met. I'll admit to say that I was underestimating how good, how strong, how positive, how empathetic, and how extremely intelligent the girls that I've been speaking with are. So I'm hugely proud to be involved with that project. And one of the things that I've learned is through all of my life, through playing sport, through work, is it doesn't cost anything to be kind. So if you're having a bad day, it doesn't cost you anything to give a smile to somebody that's coming towards you, because you don't know what day they're coming from. Everybody has stuff going on at work and stuff going on at home, and sometimes throughout your careers you'll figure out that they merge. You can't quite navigate your way out of it, but someday somebody will give you that smile and get you through that day. So that's the most important thing that I'd say.
So I'm doing advice that I try to listen to more often for myself. I'm not necessarily very good at it. One thing is just one foot in front of the other. The big picture is great, but just focus on what you're doing now, what the next move is, and that small steps will get you where you're going. The other thing is the only person you should be comparing yourself against is you last week. I'm terrible for self-comparison. It tore me down for a lot of my career, a lot of my time in university. Doesn't help. I play table tennis, I'm terrible at it, but it's wonderful because it means the only person I compare myself against is me. Because everyone else is so much better that there's no point, and that's been such a nice learning thing. So one step at a time, don't compare yourself to anyone else. And the last thing, I'm going to quote my mom, she used to always say, she used to say, I'd say go for it, girl.
I would echo what Pat just said, and also what all the ladies said. important, and it's so hard, like, especially at your age, and like I definitely fell victim to it. I mean, time and time again. But being your age and being all in school together, and you want to do whatever in college because your friend next to you is doing whatever in college. But I think it's really important to focus on your own path and your own journey. We're all on our own. Like, we all have such different experiences, and I think, you know, having been focused on the person who's doing whatever would have sort of been able to be confident enough to follow our will. I think it's really important.
I suppose something that I've learned through my career in sport is sometimes we can have really big goals, they can be really daunting, but I find a lot of times you're only going to be limited by your own opinion of yourself. You're going to maybe hold yourself back because you're going to think, oh, that's too big, that's too far. Personally, I mean, I went from an absolutely nobody in athletics to a Paralympic medalist in 3-4 years, which at the time I was like, of course I can, why couldn't I? You know, whereas if I'd gone in there with that different mindset, oh gosh, maybe I should target the next games or something, I probably wouldn't have done as well. So, you know, I really just opened myself up when I said, you know, if I believe I can do it, then, you know, what's going to stop me, really?
I think what I've learned over the last few years was using every hurdle as an opportunity to rise higher. I think not getting too bogged down from setbacks or injuries or whatever is setting you back, or if you don't get your course in college, there's always some way to work around it, and you know it might have been a blessing in disguise, I think. So I think just using every hurdle as an opportunity to rise higher, and never let anyone tell you that you can't do it or that your goal is too high. So I think that's what I would say.
Can I just say Miss Gallagher and the council are legends for this event. I just think it's amazing. I'm actually quite emotional listening to it all. I just think it's unreal what you're doing here. I really do. It's this is very unique what you have here, guys, so really nurtured and minded. But my thing goes back to the video earlier when that woman talked about like a girl. And like a girl is a superpower, like a girl is a huge strength, and never forget it. And it goes back to the like a girl thing. Recently, my small man, they were training, and a trainer said, "Oh, you're playing like girls." And I know one of your earlier questions is what makes you angry. But don't tolerate that. Use your voice, stand up for women, and back each other, because we're in it together. And that 150 odd years of, you know, gender, you know, inequality, whatever, girls, you have to play your part to close that. And the future that you have, like my mom never had the opportunities that I have. You will have so much more opportunity, and use your voice and help close that gap.
We now invite any student or staff member who would like to ask a question to please come to the mic. Thank you. I actually have a question for Max. Was rowing always a sport that you wanted to do, or are there other activities that you're interested in?
No, to be honest, I started rowing in the end of second year, started third year, and I was absolutely allergic to start rowing, to be honest. I did hockey in first and second year here, and I loved it. I was fierce competitive, but I could never get the skill of it. But my friend started rowing, and my parents were like, "Oh, please, will you try it?" or whatever, and I was allergic. But anyway, I gave it a go, and I suppose it was quite an intimidating environment, because the rowing club was small, and you know, it was such a small community, and I found it quite intimidating to even get out of the car, to be honest. But once I got into it, then I fell in love with it, and I was addicted to it then, and I just loved going training, and it was a happy place, and just spending time with my friends. And I suppose with rowing, I think you don't necessarily need to be talented, you just need to kind of work hard. So I found, the harder I worked, the longer I was getting, and I was getting better, I suppose, and that's why I fell in love with rowing, because the harder I learned, I was able to see the roads then, I suppose. But no, I definitely didn't always want to do rowing, and I was very hesitant to start. I think it was more the intimidating side. I was just afraid to even go into the rowing club because I didn't know anyone there, and I fell in love with it very quickly, and I never looked back.
On that as well, we have in 6th year we have 3 Irish rowers: Anya Gaffney, Louise Forrester, and Slide MacDonald. I'm so excited to hear you're coming today, because you are a hero to them. So they the culture in St. Antonis for rowing, really is rowing. So they're obviously they're 18, so they're growing up. So do you have any advice? Keep going, because they're pushing at the Irish level already.
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing is just to keep enjoying it and not put too much pressure on yourself. I think if I was to look back, I definitely wouldn't put too much pressure on myself. I think when I left school, I just put fierce pressure on myself, and I felt like I burnt out a little bit. And then first year college, I rowed with the rowing club with the girls of the age, and I fell in love with rowing again. But I think if I was to look back, I wouldn't put so much pressure on myself, because I think as long as I was enjoying it and I was showing up to training, doing the training sessions, I was, getting better. Without the pressure, then I definitely would have enjoyed it a lot more. I think there's lots of time to, be good at it, and I think just be patient with yourself and enjoy it, and enjoy being with your guys and enjoy working hard and really excited and stuff.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, I noticed that a lot of you had said the phrase, "it wasn't planned," and I just want to know, how scary was it when you realised you were going to have to deviate from what you thought your life was going to be, and how did you find the courage then to actually change what you were going to do?
College, and that if anyone is going to the hospital or going to your GP, you're getting blood stolen, or you're getting surgery done, or you're getting transfusion, a medical scientist is the person that's involved with seeing what that is and how that surgery might go, or tell you what type of tumour that is. That was basically the whole career of a medical scientist between all the different 5 disciplines in that code. But when I was in Dublin, I wanted to get back to work, and a job came up to be involved with perinatal pathology, and that part of that job was performing perinatal postmortems, so looking after babies that had died and trying to help the family and come together with a team to give an answer as to why their baby died in such a horrible time for a family. It's a very unusual job, I'm very aware of it. But when I came down and I told my friends that I was going for this job, they said, "Why would you do that? It's a very odd job." And when I came into the hospital, somebody who doesn't work there anymore looked at my CV, flipped through it and said, "This is a man's job." And I don't think I'm that old, but I was told it was a man's job because it's too emotional. But I actually think we're talking about women and what our superpowers are. Emotion is a superpower, because it gave me the empathy to be able to kind of do my job and to be very proud of my job. But if I was to say, coming out of school, that this was the type of job I'd be doing, there's no way I would come up with something like that. It's a total flip to what any medical scientist job would have been before. It's the first one in, we looked at it, and it was Ireland, the first kind of role in Europe, and now there's 4 of us across the country that are doing this role in helping families. And we have such a great relationship with Beta Con, and I'm delighted that they are the charity we're today. It's a great charity, but sometimes sort of you just don't know where you're going to end up, but I don't think I would be anywhere else where I am.
Can I just add to that? I'm starting without fully having a conclusion, but because I'm currently sort of in a flux period where things have not quite gone to plan. I didn't have any plans when I left school. I didn't know what I was going to do. My mom was the one who suggested doing a year of art at CSN, and I was like, I'm not going to art college. That's what artists do. I'm not an artist. And I ended up getting my career, which has been amazing. I lived in London, was in England for the last 10 years, working as an agent for Hans and Frank was literally a dream job out of college. That was when I finished my degree. I didn't have much confidence in my own work, but decided to say, oh, I won't be a freelance artist, but maybe I could be an agent. That would be cool because I love talking about other people's work and promoting other people's stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a really cool agency, Hans and Frank, they'd be amazing to work for. Then fast forward however many years, and I was hired by them. They're a tiny team, there was only 4 of them. So that was amazing. I was in London in an amazing flat, I was an amazing partner, it was an amazing job, lots of friends, and all things were going great, except a number of things happened in my personal life, like we had a family bereavement. I ended up getting quite sick, and I ended up having to step back from everything, kind of quite suddenly, and having to come home back to Cork after 10 years away, and it was completely shocking for everyone involved, for my employers, for my partner, for my friends, and I'm still like dealing with the aftermath of that and what that has meant. The amazing thing is being able to come back to Cork and being able to come back to a community that's still here. Coming back to the school is awesome. The art students will know I've been shadowing Birmingham for a little while, which has been an amazing opportunity, and everyone's been so nice. Someone asked me how I found Miss Birmingham as a teacher when I was in school, and I said if I didn't like her, I wouldn't have come back to her class. You get to escape. But yeah, so sometimes things really don't go to plan, and sometimes that really, really hurts, and I'm not going to deny the pain that all of that caused. I'm not going to deny the confusion that I still, but like people have said, all you can do, like this too shall pass, and all you can do is keep going. Like there's times when I just wanted to stop, and there was times when I did just stop, but you just can't. You have to find a new path, you have to, again, trust your gut. I've kind of wound up being like, no, I think art teaching actually would be quite a cool career path for me. Hopefully I'll get it, and I'll be back annoying students here, ideally. But you just have to keep going and have to trust what you're able to do, and you can't lose faith in who you are, because that's when you get really stuck and that's when things really go downhill. So just kind of, things are going to go wrong. That's fine. That's part of it. Just try and keep going in a direction. Pick a direction and head there. You'll end up somewhere, and you can't just stop moving.
Okay, I have a question. Since you started in your job or in your field, do you think gender equality, has improved? Has it stayed the same? Or is there any ways it could improve or get better?
In my job as a judge, it has definitely improved. When somebody suggested to me that would I think of becoming a judge, and I was a barrister for 25 years at that stage, so I was reasonably confident in my abilities, and I literally said, well, circuit judges are men with beards, right? That was in my head. So the reverse of what Susan said, I said it to myself, which is crackers, right? So, but somebody said to me, would you think about doing this? And there were other judges, but they were higher up. They were in the Supreme Court, Justice Denham, who was the Chief Justice. And that was a movement that started to suggest to women that they should become judges. And now about 50% of the judiciary are female. And I'd say that came from, were there 10% female judges when I started? So that has absolutely, that there has been a sea change in terms of representation, and that has had knock-on effects then into how people are treated in court, It has had knock-on effects as to children are treated much better in courts now. There are videoing facilities. If you ever need to go to court, lads, or if you ever need to talk to the guardian, do not be afraid. There are wonderful women all the way up along the justice system. Women in the Special Protective Forces in the Garda Síochána, female barristers, female judges. So there has been, I think, a sea change, and it has been really for the better for the justice system. Could there be more? Absolutely, we have to be ever vigilant. That is the one interesting thing. There was a female Supreme Court judge again, Marie Baker from Cork, and she got an award this year from the Women Lawyers. And she said, 2 years ago I would have thought, why are we still talking about equality in the legal system? And this year she said, I don't think that now. So you have to always keep an eye, is what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying, just keep an eye on it, don't get complacent about it. And bring other people along as well. That's the other thing that I try to do now, because someone said to me, think about being a judge, which hadn't entered my head. I also thought judges were boring, by the way. That was another reason I didn't want to be a judge. So it has moved on, but we need to keep going. So female senior counsel, we need more of those. And female senior counsel are rarer because it can take a bit longer to establish yourself at the bar. So all of that is being looked at, but as I said, it goes back to back yourself, but also back to other people. So if you see somebody in your work when you're older who mightn't be thinking about a role, say to them, I think you should think about this. And even if it puts the seed in their mind, it might be they might be a couple of years off it. But say to them, look, have a think about this. Put the seed into your mind and keep an eye on it. But yes, progress.
Anyone who can get the opportunity to ask questions, you have a chance at the very end. Now I'll hand you over to the secretary student.
Let's try to move a bit now to prize time. So thank you all for taking part in our very special International Women's Day quiz this week. We hope you all enjoyed it and learned about female heroes that changed our world and statistics highlighting fairness and unfairness towards women. We asked 6 questions ranging from countries with the highest gender equality to women who have helped change the world. On Monday, our winner was Sarah Martin on 6A. On Tuesday, our winner was Elizabeth Maxwini in 2C, and on Wednesday, our winner was Theo Wall in 2C.
On Thursday, our winner was Aoife James in 2C, and today, 2 of our winners were Gillian Valdez and Ella Cullen in 1C.
Was for the whole school to get involved.
International Women's Day. This day is special for our school. We want everyone to be included.
Our quiz was a way for you to learn loads of things, use your minds and get involved, so thank you for your participation. Could all winners come to the stage to collect your prize?
We, the Fairview Student Council, set up a display quiz with pictures
And the winner is, drum roll please, Tina Hugh, Greasy. Will Tina please come to the stage to collect her prize, which is a jigsaw puzzle of inspirational women.
Answers will be put up on the notice board beside the questions. Thank you to everyone who participated. We'd like to invite Emma Maroney to recite a poem by Donna Ashton.
If every single person who has liked you in your lifetime were to light up on a map, it would create the most glitteringly beautiful network you could imagine. Throw in the strangers you've been kind to, the people you've made laugh or inspired along the way, and that star-bright network of you would be an impressive sight to behold. You are so much more than you think you are. You've done so much more than you realize. You're trailing a bright pathway that you don't even know about. What a thing. What a thing indeed.
I'm just going to jump in there very briefly. I am so proud of these girls. I was thinking all week about my name tag and who I would choose, and I was trying to come up with a really good one. And it struck me this morning that I was actually inspired by students. And I would say all your teachers who work so hard and give so much would say, you are our inspiration. And the Student Council in particular are our inspiration. So a huge thanks and a huge congratulations. And thank you. The purple is overwhelming. So thank you. Thank you so much to our guests. It is incredible what you have taught us, what you have blessed us with, your words, your experience, your wisdom, and of course your time that you gave us to be here today. We hugely appreciate all of that. To Mr. Kern and Ms. Donovan, a huge thank you for all your support. To all the staff, for all your patience and support. You're like Braveheart or a scene, you're like an army of teachers and voices. It's phenomenal to see you in a line. And you go into battle for your students every day with your voices and our theme and our word is voice. And you do that every day in all sorts of different ways. And I think we should salute you as a staff, and your students should just give you a round of applause. To all the teachers, I have so many teachers, I cannot mention you all, and I'm afraid I'll leave somebody really important out. But to Miss Sinead O'Donovan, time, contribution, editing, and vocabulary to beat the band. To Miss Marr, nothing's a bother, everything's grand. She's like the technological hero. We couldn't do it without her. To Miss Talk, who's just the catering queen, I don't know anyone who runs such a tight schedule. Incredible. To Miss Carr, the decorating queen. She has such an eye for beauty and such an attention to detail. To Miss Kelly, there's a surprise on the way from the 6 years and from you. You've created such a beautiful gift and such a beautiful memento. And thank you so much to Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Byrne for helping out with everything. To Miss O'Leary and to Miss Whelan, thank you for introducing us to Féileacáin, and thank you for your beautiful displays and all the students and the staff that contributed to the artwork and just beautiful bows and everything. It's fabulous what you created. To Miss Regan, who's the best person to keep a secret, thank you. And to the 5th years, who just played a blinder. And to you, the students, don't forget today. Today there are powerful messages We want you to be strong, we want you to choose the career and the career path that you want, be it an apprenticeship, be it a PLC course, be it a PhD. Choose what you want and stand tall and don't forget today. Now, I'm going to hand you over to a very special girl, and this is Kate Manley. Okay?
Good afternoon, everyone. Apologies for the bubbles, but I'm good. I'm here. As we come to the conclusion of today's inspiring and momentous occasion, I want to take a moment to reflect on the incredible diversity, talent, and unwavering spirit we witness here today. Our students, past and present, stand as a testament to the boundless potential of young women. We celebrate excellence in all its forms at St Andrews College, be it in academics, sport, drama, culture, community involvement, religious involvement, debating, or student leadership through the Student Council. Thank you so much to each and every one of our special guests that came here today to celebrate International Women's Day with our student community. Each one of you has demonstrated that achievement is multifaceted, and every path taken is one of significance and value. The range of talent, passion on display reaffirms our commitment as a school community and as a society to strive that every voice is acknowledged. Today, we have recognised and celebrated the progress of women and their growing presence in every aspect of society, from sports, business, law, technology, artistry, science and entrepreneurship. But let me be clear, International Women's Day belongs to everyone. It is not a battleground for superiority, it is not about surpassing or being better than men, it is about standing alongside them as equals. True progress is realised when we support and uplift one another, ensuring that every individual, regardless of gender, is deserving of the freedom, safety, and the opportunity to thrive, excel, and lead. We must acknowledge many challenges that remain, but also the victories, big and small, that have brought us to this point. Each one of you here today is part of progress, and it is through collective determination that we will continue to shape a world that is fairer and more inclusive for all. On this special day, I would like to reflect on the legacy of St Angela Marucci, a woman of remarkable vision and courage. St Angela deeply believed in the power of education, especially for young girls, at a time when society overlooked their potential. She founded the Ursuline Order with the mission of providing girls with knowledge, skills, and moral guidance. Like St Angela, we must continue to believe in ourselves and in the power of education. This year, we took immense pride in once again celebrating St. Bridget's Day as a national holiday on the 1st of February. And on a personal note, it also provided a much needed break in the middle of our pre-leaving cert exams. Since 2023, this historic occasion has served as a powerful symbol of balance in Irish society. We now honour both St. Patrick and St. Bridget as our patron and matron saints, and this has restored a long overdue sense of representative equity in our national traditions. St. Bridget's key principles of inspiration, imagination, healing, truth, justice, love and light offer us guidance, not just today, but in everything we endeavour to achieve. These values should be the compass by which we navigate our aspirations and our pursuits of a fairer, more just world. Her legacy reminds us of the importance of courage, of using our gifts to uplift others, and standing steadfast in our convictions, even when faced with adversity. Remember, strong women do not tear each other down, they lift each other up. We aspire and ascend, and we strive to do so together. I urge you to be the woman who fixes another woman's crown without telling the world it was crooked. Let us reflect on what it truly means to use one's voice. It is not about shouting the loudest, being demanding or being aggressive, it is about education. Your voice is reflected in how you carry yourself, how you act, and how you treat others. Your voice is your presence, your representation, and your legacy. It is about speaking out on what matters, and doing so with courtesy, kindness, and respect. Thank you to our incredible guests who came here today to celebrate International Women's Day with our school community. Thank you for sharing your stories, experiences, and wisdom, and for answering our questions. Your voices remind us of the strength, resilience, and determination that define women everywhere. To everyone who participated, whether by asking questions, sharing your thoughts, or by simply listening, thank you. Your participation and engagement is what makes this day so powerful.
I also want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to our Student Council for their incredible work in organising today's celebrations and for all they do throughout the year. Your dedication, leadership and teamwork truly make a difference in our school community, and we are so grateful for all your efforts. Your hard work does not go unnoticed, and today's event is a testament to your vision and commitment. To Ms Gallagher, whose kindness and passion inspire us daily, thank you for your unwavering support, dedication and hard work. Your encouragement and belief in us means the world. To Mr Curran and Mrs Donovan, thank you for recognising the importance of this day and for supporting us in the preparation for this occasion. To Miss O'Leary, students of Reading Revolution, and Miss O'Leary's TY English class, well done on your informative and colourful subject display and reception. Your work added huge youth events this week. Students and student groups working together is the real-life collaboration and support that International Women's Day is all about. To all the staff who have helped us in any way to prepare and host for today, a huge thank you to you as always. A huge thank you to Miss Mary especially. She always gives up her time so freely and is always at all things technology. Thank you for your time and your help. To Ms Sinead O'Donovan, thank you for your endless help and time and support in organising this day, especially with the speech writing. Your expertise ensured we didn't make a fool of ourselves, I hope. A big thanks to you. At the very end of our event, we invite students and staff who would like to meet our guests to come up and have a chat. As a thank you to our guests, we have a number of gifts for each of you. Our first years, Stephanie, Lily, Sophia, Robin, Emily and Nessa, will now give you a green heart as a token of our appreciation and to serve as a memento of our great experience at Andrews College. We're usually all about the green. We also have a jar of our very own honey, and last but not least, we would like to give you thank you cards designed and printed by one of our TY students, Anna Scott, and marketed by her twin sister, Lydia Scott. As we end today's event, let today serve as a powerful reminder that your voice matters. Remember, our voices are not just for us alone. They're meant to uplift, to advocate, and to empower those who may not yet feel strong enough to speak for themselves. Your presence is significant, and together, we are creating a future where equality is not just an aspiration, but a reality. The journey is ongoing, but together, we will continue to break barriers, challenge limitations, and create opportunities, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. I leave you with this question. How do you want to use your voice? How do you want to be seen or remembered? Will you choose to stand tall, to speak with conviction, to lead with kindness and intelligence? Because every word you say, every choice you make, every day in school, you have the power to shape the world around you. Thank you. Before you leave here today, the Sixth Year Student Council has a present for each and every one of our students to commemorate this day and remember us. We did this project with our learning monitor, Miss Kelly. I would like to say a huge thanks to her for her time and creativity, and of course, the chocolate. We loved working on you with this project. Our gift today brings together what is important to us about International Women's Day and the message we want to communicate to our school community. As you can see on the screen, it is a postcard of some of our inspirational women we've celebrated today, together with the chosen word voice on the back. A huge thanks also to Mr. Curran and Mrs. Sullivan, who helped us with this project. We would like to give our guests, all the staff and all the 6th years our gift now. We will hand them to the rest of the students as they leave the hall today.